Have you ever wondered why some people find strength even in life's darkest moments? Why certain figures awaken within us a courage we never knew we possessed? There's something magical about the way a true leader views the world, not with the eyes of someone seeking glory, but with the soul of someone accepting their responsibility to protect what they love. Arthur, the king who walked among shadows before embracing his light, teaches us that true nobility lies not in the throne we occupy, but in the humility with which we serve others. In his every word, we find echoes of an ancestral wisdom that can transform our personal journey from fear to courage, from doubt to purpose, from isolation to conscious leadership. Welcome to an extraordinary journey through the profound teachings of one of literature and cinema's most inspiring characters. Arthur is not just a king or a warrior. He's a mirror reflecting our own journey of self-discovery and growth. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover how this noble character's words can become a practical guide for your real life. You'll learn to lead with humility, find courage in moments of uncertainty, protect what truly matters, and accept your own greatness without losing compassion. Every phrase we share here carries the power to awaken within you a braver, wiser, and more self-connected version of yourself. Prepare for a transformation that will begin with simple words, but will echo forever in your heart. Lesson 1. Not. All those who wander are lost. This is perhaps one of the most well-known phrases associated with Arthur's spirit, and it carries a revolutionary truth about our personal journey. How many times have you felt lost in life, unsure of which direction to take? Modern society constantly pressures us to have a defined plan, a linear career, clear objectives. But Arthur teaches us that there's a fundamental difference between being lost and being on a quest. When you walk without an apparent destination, but with an inner purpose, each step is an act of discovery. You're not lost, you're exploring. Possibilities that can only be revealed to those who have the courage to leave the well-trodden paths. In your life, this means accepting that not all phases of uncertainty are signs of failure. Sometimes they're invitations to discover aspects of yourself you would never know if you always stayed in your comfort zone. Lesson 2. I will be king when I am worthy of the crown. True leadership is never a matter of titles or positions, but of inner merit. Arthur could have claimed his throne much sooner, but he knew that true authority comes from wisdom gained through experience and service to others. In your life, this translates to understanding that you don't need to wait for a promotion, recognition, or an official position to start leading. Authentic leadership manifests in how you treat the people around you, how you make difficult decisions, how you remain upright even when no one is watching. Before seeking to lead others, dedicate yourself to leading yourself with excellence. When you become worthy of your own trust, people naturally begin to trust you too. Lesson 3. There is always hope. In the darkest moments of our existence, when everything seems lost and discouragement takes over our hearts, these simple words carry the power to rekindle our inner light. Arthur doesn't deny the difficulties or minimize the pain. He simply refuses to allow external circumstances to determine his internal reality. Hope, for him, is not an optimistic illusion, but a conscious choice to focus on what is still possible instead of dwelling on what has been lost. In your personal journey, this means developing the ability to find small signs of light, even in the most challenging situations. Hope is not passivity. It's the active force that drives us to continue fighting for what we believe in, even when the results are not guaranteed. Lesson 4. My strength lies in protecting those I love. True strength is not measured by the ability to conquer or dominate, but by the willingness to sacrifice for what we consider sacred. Arthur finds his power not in the pursuit of personal glory, but in the deep commitment to protecting his land and his people. This lesson invites us to reflect on our own motivations. When you act driven by love and the protection of what you value, your family, your values, your dreams, you access a source of energy that transcends your personal limitations. Love doesn't make us weak. It makes us incredibly powerful because it connects us to something greater than ourselves. Identify what you truly love and dedicate your life to protecting and nurturing those precious things. Lesson 5. The past does not define who we are, but teaches us who we can be. Arthur carries the weight of a complex lineage, but refuses to be a prisoner of the glories or mistakes of the past. He understands that our personal history is a source of learning, not a sentence of fate. Many people become hostages to their past mistakes or, alternatively, live only on yesterday's glories. Wisdom lies in extracting valuable lessons from every experience, both positive and painful, and using that knowledge to make more conscious choices in the present. You are not defined by your mistakes or your previous successes. You are defined by how you choose to grow from each experience. The past is your teacher, not your judge. Lesson 6. Courage is not the absence of fear, but acting in spite of it. Being courageous doesn't mean never feeling fear. Arthur feels fear. He fears for the safety of his friends, the fate of his land, the consequences of his decisions. But he never allows fear to paralyze his actions. True courage is the conscious choice to do what is right even when your heart is racing with uncertainty. In his life, this means recognizing that feeling fear is completely natural and human. The problem isn't the fear itself, but allowing it to make your decisions for you. When you act despite fear, each small act of courage strengthens your inner confidence and expands your comfort zone. Courage is a muscle that develops with use. Lesson 7. A king serves first, then rules. Authentic leadership is fundamentally an act of service. Arthur understands that his role as king is not to be served, but to serve his people with dedication and wisdom. This mentality completely revolutionizes our understanding of authority and power. In any position you hold, as a parent, a leader of a team, an entrepreneur, or simply as a citizen, your first question should be, how can I best serve? Instead of, what can I gain? When you lead with the heart of a servant, people don't follow you out of obligation, but out of inspiration. They feel that you genuinely care about their well-being, and this creates a loyalty and cooperation impossible to achieve through imposed authority. Lesson 8. Humility is the mark of the truly great. Despite his royal lineage and extraordinary abilities, Arthur never places himself above others. He treats each person with respect and dignity, regardless of their social standing. Humility is not diminishing yourself or denying your talents. It's recognizing that we all have unique gifts and that each person has something valuable to contribute. In a world obsessed with self-promotion and competition, humility becomes a revolutionary force. When you approach others with genuine curiosity and respect, you create authentic connections that enrich your life in unimaginable ways. Humility also protects you from arrogance, which is always the first step in the downfall of any leader. Lesson 9. The hardest decisions reveal who we truly are. In moments of pressure and difficulty, when there's no time to pretend or calculate, our true nature is revealed. Arthur is repeatedly tested by impossible choices, and each difficult decision brings him closer to his authentic self. Comfortable situations allow us to wear social masks, but challenges demand truth. When you face a difficult decision, stop and ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? And then act according to that answer. Your choices in difficult moments are investments in your future integrity. Each time you choose the right path despite the consequences, you strengthen your character and your self-confidence. Lesson 10. Patience is the virtue of the wise. In an age of instant gratification, Arthur teaches us the transformative power of patience. He waited decades to accept his destiny as king, not out of laziness or fear, but because he knew that some things can only be achieved when we are prepared for them. Patience is not passivity. It's the wisdom of understanding that everything has its right time. In his life, this means resisting the pressure to accelerate processes that need time to mature. Your dreams, your relationships, your personal growth, your career, all have natural rhythms that must be respected. When you learn to work in harmony with these rhythms instead of fighting against them, you save energy and obtain much more solid and lasting results. Lesson 11. Solitude can be a wise choice, not a punishment. Arthur spent years as a ranger, often alone. And this did not weaken him, it strengthened him. He learned to find companionship in himself, to listen to his inner voice, to develop his wisdom through silent reflection. In a society that fears solitude and constantly bombards us with external stimuli, we need to rediscover the value of alone time. We're not talking about isolation born of pain or resentment, but of consciously choosing periods of solitude to reconnect with yourself. It is in these moments that you can listen to your intuition, process your experiences, define your values, and make decisions aligned with your inner truth. Conscious solitude is an investment in self-knowledge. Lesson 12. Honor your word above all else. For Arthur, a promise made is a sacred debt. He understands that our word is our most valuable asset in the world. When you say you will do something, you are creating an expectation not only in others, but in yourself. Every promise kept strengthens your self-confidence and your reputation. Every broken promise weakens it. This doesn't mean you should make promises lightly or accept impossible commitments. It means you should be very discerning about what you promise and absolutely reliable in keeping it. Your word is an extension of your integrity. When people know they can completely trust what you say, you become a person of real and positive influence in their lives. Lesson 13. True strength comes from unity, not domination. Arthur never attempts to lead through brute force or intimidation. He understands that sustainable strength comes from the ability to unite people around a common purpose. In his personal and professional life, this means focusing on building bridges instead of walls. When you face a conflict, your first question should be, how can we solve this together instead of how can I win? The collaborative mentality not only solves problems more effectively, but also creates stronger and longer-lasting relationships. People who feel heard and respected become natural allies, while those who feel dominated become future resistance. Lesson 14. Self-sacrifice is the price of true leadership. To lead often means putting the needs of others before your own. Arthur is always willing to take the biggest risks to protect his team. This doesn't mean you should become a martyr or a pushover, but that authentic leadership involves genuine responsibility for the well-being of those who trust you. When you're in a position of leadership, be it as a parent, a boss, or simply as someone who influences others, you implicitly accept that your decisions will affect other lives. This requires an emotional maturity that puts the common good above self-interest when necessary. Lesson 15. Wisdom lies in knowing your own limits. Arthur is powerful, but never arrogant about his abilities. He recognizes when he needs help, when a task is beyond his skills, when he should rely on the expertise of others. Realistic self-awareness is one of the most valuable forms of intelligence. Knowing your strengths allows you to utilize them fully. Knowing your limitations protects you from unnecessary failures and encourages you to seek support when needed. There's no shame in admitting you don't know something or that you need help. There's wisdom. People respect and trust those who demonstrate honesty about their own capabilities more. Lesson 16. Loyalty must be earned, never demanded. Arthur doesn't expect automatic loyalty because of his title or position. He earns it through his consistent actions, his integrity, and his genuine care for others. Forced loyalty is fragile and temporary. Earned loyalty is deep and lasting. In all your relationships, familial, professional, romantic, you build loyalty by being loyal first. This means being reliable, being present during difficult times, valuing and protecting those who are important to you. True loyalty is always mutual and based on genuine respect. Lesson 17. Hope must be fueled by action. Arthur doesn't just maintain hope. He acts to make his hopes a reality. Hope without action is just fantasy. Action without hope is just wasted effort. The combination of the two creates the unstoppable force of determination. In your life, this means you can't simply hope things will get better. You must actively work to create the changes you want to see. Each small positive action fuels your hope and creates momentum for bigger changes. Hope is the fuel, but action is the engine that moves your life in the direction of your dreams. Lesson 18. True power lies in lifting others. Instead of using his power to benefit himself, Arthur uses it to lift those around him. He sees potential in people and helps them develop their own strengths. This is perhaps the clearest mark of transformative leadership. When you use your influence, your resources, your knowledge to help others grow, you create a legacy that transcends your own existence. Furthermore, people who have been lifted by you become multipliers of good, creating positive ripples that spread far beyond what you could achieve alone. Lesson 19. Revenge is a prison you build for yourself. Despite having every reason to seek revenge against those who have caused suffering to him and his people, Arthur chooses justice over revenge. He understands that carrying hatred is like carrying burning coals in your hands. You burn yourself more than you hurt your enemies. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or accepting unacceptable behavior, but it means choosing not to let the actions of others control your emotions and decisions. When you choose to respond wisely instead of reacting angrily, you keep your personal power and inner peace intact. Lesson 20. Compassion is strength, not weakness. Arthur demonstrates compassion even for his enemies, recognizing the humanity in everyone. Our society often confuses compassion with weakness, but in truth, compassion requires extraordinary inner strength. It's much easier to be harsh, judgmental, and emotionally closed off than to open your heart to understand the pains and struggles of others. Compassion doesn't mean accepting everything or never setting boundaries, but it means choosing to see others with empathy and responding with kindness whenever possible. Compassionate people create environments where others feel safe to be vulnerable and authentic. Lesson 21. The longest road is often the safest. Arthur rarely chooses the obvious shortcuts, preferring paths that, while longer, offer greater safety and sustainability for his ultimate goal. In our culture of quick results, this wisdom is revolutionary. Building anything of value, a relationship, a career, a character, a business, requires time and consistent dedication. Shortcuts may seem appealing, but they frequently lead to fragile foundations that crumble under pressure. When you accept that everything of value requires time to be properly built, you develop the patience and persistence needed to create truly lasting results. Lesson 22. True authority is given, not taken. Arthur never forces his leadership on anyone. He offers it through his actions and allows others to choose whether or not to follow him. Authentic authority arises naturally when people recognize in you someone who possesses wisdom, integrity, and competence. You cannot demand respect or force people to value your opinion. You can only live in a way that naturally inspires those feelings in others. When you stop trying to impress and start focusing on serving, your influence grows organically. Lesson 23. Prudence avoids more battles than courage wins. Arthur is certainly courageous, but he is also prudent. He chooses his battles carefully, always preferring to resolve conflicts through wisdom whenever possible. Not every argument deserves your time and energy. Not every challenge needs to be met head-on. Prudence teaches you to distinguish between important issues that deserve your full attention and minor distractions that can be ignored or postponed. This ability to prioritize protects your energy for the battles that truly matter and increases your chances of success when you do decide to fight. Lesson 24. Greatness lies in consistent small acts. Arthur doesn't become a great king through a single heroic act, but through decades of small, consistent, right choices. True greatness is built day by day, decision by decision, act by act. In your life, this means you don't need to wait for an epic opportunity to start making a difference. Every day offers dozens of small opportunities to practice kindness, integrity, courage, and wisdom. It's these daily practices that shape your character and determine who you become over time. Lesson 25. Silence often speaks louder than words. Arthur isn't a man of many words, but when he speaks, everyone listens. He understands the power of contemplative silence and nonverbal communication. In a world full of noise and constant opinions, the ability to be silent becomes a competitive advantage. Silence allows you to truly listen to others, process information deeply, and respond wisely instead of reacting impulsively. People who speak less, but always with purpose, are naturally perceived as wiser and more trustworthy. Lesson 26. Responsibility cannot be delegated, only shared. As a leader, Arthur takes full responsibility for the outcomes of his decisions, whether positive or negative. He never blames others for his mistakes or tries to escape the consequences of his choices. Personal responsibility is the foundation of all emotional maturity and sustainable success. When you accept complete responsibility for your life, your results, your relationships, your emotions, your circumstances, you empower yourself to change it. Victims are powerless, responsible people are powerful. Lesson 27. Honor is not in never falling, but in always rising. Arthur faces defeats and moments of weakness, but he always finds the strength to get back up and keep fighting. True honor lies not in perfection, but in resilience. We all fail, make mistakes, and experience moments of weakness. What defines our character is not the absence of these experiences, but our response to them. When you develop the ability to rise after every fall, you become virtually unstoppable. Each recovery strengthens your confidence and your ability to handle future challenges. Lesson 28. Trust is built drop by drop and lost in torrents. Arthur understands that trust is the most precious commodity in any relationship and protects it zealously through consistent actions. Building trust requires time, patience, and absolute consistency between your words and actions. A single breach of trust can undo years of careful construction. This means you must be extremely judicious with your promises and absolutely reliable in keeping them. When people know they can count on you completely, you become a valuable person in their lives. Lesson 29. Willpower is like a muscle. It must be exercised daily. Arthur maintains his discipline and determination through consistent daily practices. He understands that willpower is not an innate talent, but a skill that must be developed and maintained. In your life, this means setting small daily challenges that exercise your ability to do what is necessary even when you don't feel like it. It could be waking up earlier, exercising, reading instead of watching TV, or any other habit that requires you to overcome the natural resistance to change. Each small victory strengthens your confidence in your ability to self-discipline. Lesson 30. True nobility lies in service to others. Arthur could easily use his position for self-benefit, but chooses to dedicate his life to the service of his people. Nobility of character has nothing to do with titles, possessions, or social standing. It is defined by how you treat others and your willingness to contribute to something larger than yourself. When you find ways to serve others through your unique talents, you discover a sense of purpose and satisfaction that no personal achievement can offer. Lesson 31. Wisdom lies in accepting what you cannot control and changing what you can. Arthur doesn't waste energy trying to control things that are beyond his reach. He focuses entirely on what he can influence, his own actions, decisions, and responses. This distinction is fundamental to inner peace and personal effectiveness. When you stop fighting against circumstances, you can't change and channel all your energy into the areas where you have real control. You become much more powerful and much less stressed. Serenity comes from knowing the difference. Lesson 32. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. All of Arthur's heroic actions are motivated by love. Love for Guinevere, for his friends, for his land, for his people. Love is not sentimental weakness. It is the most powerful and transformative force that exists. When you act out of genuine love, you access reserves of energy, creativity, and determination that you didn't know you possessed. Love connects us to our deepest purpose and gives us the courage to face any challenge in the name of what we value. Lesson 33. Patience with others reflects our patience with ourselves. Arthur demonstrates extraordinary patience with the flaws and limitations of others because he has developed patience with himself. When you learn to be kind to your own imperfections and growth processes, you naturally become more compassionate with the journeys of others. Excessive criticism of others usually reflects severe inner criticism. Developing self-compassion not only improves your personal well-being, but also improves all your relationships. Lesson 34. Legacy is not in what you conquer, but in what you inspire. Arthur will not be remembered only for his military or political achievements, but for how he inspired others to be their best selves. True legacy is not in the things you accumulate, but in the lives you touch positively. When you live a life that inspires others to be braver, kinder, more wholehearted, you create ripples of positive influence that continue long after your own time on earth. This is the kind of immortality that truly matters. Lesson 35. The journey is more important than the destination. Arthur isn't just focused on becoming king, he's focused on being worthy of the title with every step of his journey. Life isn't a final destination to be reached, but a series of experiences to be fully lived. When you learn to find meaning and purpose in the process of growth rather than just the end results, you discover an inexhaustible wellspring of satisfaction and motivation. Each day becomes an opportunity to grow, learn, and contribute, regardless of how far you still have to go to achieve your larger goals. We reach the end of this transformative journey through Arthur's wisdom, but in truth, this is only the beginning of your own personal adventure. Each of these 35 lessons carries the power to revolutionize the way you see yourself and interact with the world around you. Arthur teaches us that greatness isn't about being born special, but about consistently choosing to grow and serve. He shows us that leadership isn't about authority, but about responsibility. That strength isn't about domination, but about protection. That wisdom isn't about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions and having the courage to grow with the answers. The life you are living now is your own epic adventure, and you are simultaneously the hero, the author, and the director of this story. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to practice courage. Every relationship is a chance to practice compassion. Every decision is a moment to choose integrity. Every day is a new page where you write the legacy you wish to leave the world. Arthur's words aren't just literature. They are invitations to transformation. They whisper to your soul, you have within you everything you need to be extraordinary. Not because you are perfect, but because you have the capacity to choose, to grow from every imperfection. Not because your path will be easy, but because you can find the strength to walk even when the road is hard. Remember, not all those who wander are lost. Your journey of uncertainties and discoveries isn't a sign of failure. It's evidence that you are brave enough to explore possibilities that others don't even dare to consider. You are writing a unique story, and every challenging chapter is preparing you for the triumphs that are yet to come. If these words have touched your heart and awakened something deep within your soul, don't keep this transformation to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded of their own greatness. Leave a comment sharing which of the 35 lessons resonated most with your personal journey. And if you want to continue this adventure with us, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because every week we bring new wisdom from inspiring characters that can illuminate your path and strengthen your journey. The king within you is awakening. The adventure of your life is just beginning. And as Arthur taught us, you will be worthy of the crown you are destined to wear, not because someone gave you that right, but because you chose every day to become the person capable of leading with wisdom, serving with humility, and loving with courage. Your journey towards your best self begins now. May Arthur's wisdom be the compass that guides your steps, and may every choice you make from this day forward reflect the nobility of character that already exists within you, waiting only to be awakened and fully lived. The world needs your unique light. Don't hide who you truly are any longer. Embrace your greatness and use it to uplift everyone around you. Until our next journey together, may you walk with the courage of Arthur, the wisdom of ancient kings, and the heart of a true servant of humanity. Your epic adventure is just beginning, and we will be here to support you every step of the way.